Hey, this is Jimmy Autry coming to you from in front of the Smith Hardware Company building in Winder, Georgia. The topic of this video concerns local history research. I decided to choose my hometown of Winder, which has a fairly complicated history. It is located in Barrow County, Georgia, that was created in 1914, but the town originates from the 1880s. That is what complicates the matter. Prior to having its own county, Winder was split amongst three different counties: Jackson, Gwinnett, and Walton counties. The location that we're filming from happened to be right near the line of both Jackson and Walton County, and about a half a mile behind us would have been where Gwinnett County came in. I chose this building because it predates the creation of the county. Because the building predated the creation of the county, I needed to find which of the three original counties the building was originally located in. To do so, I consulted with the Sanborn fire insurance maps of Winder from both 1903 and 1909. There was no building located on this corner in 1903, but by 1909, it listed a general hardware store on this lot. From there, I was able to narrow down that it was located originally in Jackson County. However, because the Jackson County courthouse records are not digitized that far back, I had to use a current deed from Barrow County in order to trace its lineage. Using the Barrow County Superior Clerk of the Court's office and their records, I found the current deed from 2015, which referenced a deed from 1990, which referenced a deed from 1933. That 1933 deed actually referenced the original deed from 1910, located in a Jackson County deed book. From there, I made a trip to the Jackson County courthouse in order to find that original deed. I have highlighted the location of the Smith Hardware Company store on this 1909 Sanborn fire insurance map of Winder. Another interesting piece of the Smith Hardware story was that they also sold cars in the early days, specifically Dodges. You can see that they also have a gasoline tank in the basement of their building. The original deed can be found in a book in the Jackson County Courthouse in the office of the Clerk of the Superior Court. The book is very large, roughly 3 feet long and 1.5 feet wide. Upon reading the deed, it can be seen that in 1910, Smith Hardware Company, along with another gentleman, R.H. Mitchell, bought a portion of the building that was located at the corner of Athens and Jackson Streets from J.W. Millsaps, also of Jackson County. Upon further reading of the deed, Smith Hardware Company was a firm composed of R.A.W. Smith and Claude Main. When looking further into the census records from Winder, the two were neighbors. I was able to use the Georgia Historic Newspapers database to find that Claude Main was actually the nephew of R.A.W. Smith. The two had gone into business several years earlier at a different location. This was the original location of the Smith Hardware Company. According to an issue of the Winder News from 1915, Claude Main and his uncle, R.A.W. Smith, started their operation in 1902. While the business flourished for many years, the two men actually went into business in other ventures as well. In 1916, they began the Smith Main Manufacturing Company, also located in Winder, just a few blocks from their store. While it is unclear of the exact date, the pair sold the interest in the hardware sometime between 1916 and 1927. In September of 1927, a classified advertisement appeared in the Atlanta Constitution of a sale of the remaining stock of the Smith Hardware Company, which was going out of business. The buyer of the stock was none other than R.A.W. Smith himself, regaining control of the store and opening it back up in the same location. Maintaining ownership from then until his death in 1937 Smith died heirless, passing his interest in the business to a nephew, also named Robert Smith. Over the years, other enterprises also occupied the building alongside Smith Hardware. In the 1930s, the Southern Waistband Company rented room in the top level before opening their own location a short ways down the road. If you look under the ghost lettering of Smith Hardware Company at the top of the building, you can make out Southern Waistband Company. Since the hardware store closed its doors in the 1980s, the building has been home to a business services business as well as the current bookstore. I'm now standing in front of the Bexar County Museum, which is operated by the Bexar County Historical Society. The museum houses all kinds of artifacts from the beginning of the county to the present day, and even some before, when this area was filled with settlers and Native Americans. Upstairs is located a research room that houses copies of most of the original Winder newspapers since the county's inception. While most of the Winder newspapers from before 1914 have been digitized by the University System of Georgia, there are many decades worth of newspapers that are still in paper copy form only. During my time in the research room, it was evident that some of the newspapers were falling into pretty rough shape. There are other records available in the research room. I was able to find the bank account of the Smith Hardware Company from 1903 in an unmarked bank ledger book. Being a completely volunteer-run organization, the Bexar County Historical Society is in need of assistance when preserving materials. I would love the opportunity to assist in the future. Among the many gems found in the newspapers from the research room is this gem from 1920 detailing how the Smith Hardware Company sent workers to Detroit to pick up cars from the Dodge Motor Company. It was fascinating reading the old advertisements from those newspapers in the research room. Another one, seen here from 1923, lists everything from fruit jars to baseball gloves to mung beans, freezers, and refrigerators offered for sale at the Smith Hardware Company store. By studying these advertisements, including this one from the 1940s, which advertised majestic ranges, one can see the variety of items which were for sale at a hardware store. Much like today's Amazon that offers a little bit of everything, these hardware stores were truly the general stores of their towns. Long before the Walmarts and Amazons of the world took over, places like Smith Hardware offered everything needed for life in a small town. As can be seen from this 1965 City Directory advertisement, Smith Hardware offered everything from paints to lawnmowers, sporting goods, including firearms, as well as kitchen appliances. Even though Smith Hardware Company ceased operations in the 1980s, the story lives on in the spirit of Winder. Many businesses and people have existed in Winder over the years, and all have a story to tell. Thanks to the work of those at the Bexar County Historical Society and the volunteers who staff the Bexar County Museum, historians, both professional and amateur, are able to utilize the resources available in order to tell the story of these small towns. For instance, while using the research room in the museum one day, I was able to help a gentleman find the location of a Civil War battle that he was researching. He was actually a treasure hunter and hoped to find artifacts from this battle site. While there are still many gaps to fill in concerning the Smith Hardware Company itself, as well as the building that continues to bear its name, it was very interesting and worthwhile to perform the research both at the museum as well as online, including the resources provided by the University of Georgia's Sanborn Maps collection, as well as the digitized newspapers from the Digital Historical Newspapers of Georgia. While to some it may seem like a trivial thing to pursue local history, There are great rewards in performing its research. As some small towns wither away in this modern world, it is important to research its origins and to bolster community spirit through local history. While I have no connection to the Smith family or this building, I do feel a certain pride when I see this building now and its ghost letters from a time long past.